Welcome everybody to another lecture of this self-knowledge course. As I said before in the previous video, today we will continue with the lectures of the Phase B cycle. We will study the lecture number 23, as you can see here, entitled The Symbol of the Eagle Swallowing the Serpent. Also, as said before, that will be streaming the Phase B lectures every Saturday, and we'll be sending the link to the WhatsApp and Telegram groups, and we'll be sending the Phase A lectures every Monday and Thursday. Here in the description of this video, you'll find the links to those groups and the YouTube channel. We'll also be sending the free supplemental material through these groups, the supplemental material of these conferences. First, we must remember that when we speak of the Kundalini serpent, we are speaking of that fire or energy condensed in the spine through the practice of suprasex. It is called a serpent because, as you can see here, it is because of the shape of our spine, you can see, which resembles a cobra, as we can see. In many cultures and throughout the centuries, the snake has been considered a symbol of wisdom and power. And indeed, when we speak of Kundalini, we are referring to that snake of magical powers that is developed through inner work. Much has been said about Kundalini, the annular serpentine power that develops marvelously through the spinal cord in the body of every white tantric practitioner, especially in those Eastern cultures. But no one could enjoy the powers of the luminous serpent without first being devoured by it. Awakening the Kundalini is not everything. We not only need to awaken the serpent, we also need to be swallowed by the serpent. We will now recall, because we have already seen in previous lectures, how we will achieve this. Let us remember that this Kundalini serpent will awaken with the work of the three factors for the revolution of the consciousness. We will allow us to balance the centers. Once the fire is lit or ignited, or the serpent awakened, we will begin the regeneration and creation of the solar bodies, as we studied in previous lectures. Regeneration of the physical and vital bodies, and then the creation of the astral, mental, and causal bodies. When this process is completed, and if the person chooses the direct path, not the nirvana path, then he or she unites with his or her human soul in what is known as the perfect matrimony, and the Christ or the Christic force is gestated. When the Christ is born in the heart of the man, the second mountain begins. The Divine Mother Kundalini needs to devour the existential bodies of the being. But for her to be able to do that, all the bodies must have been transformed into pure gold, because she doesn't swallow anything filthy. Let us remember that among the works of the Christ is or are continuing to work with the suprasex to create the golden bodies. I mean the physical body of gold, the vital body of gold, the astral, causal, mental, buddhic, and atmic bodies of gold. Also, he will have to eliminate those selves or psychological defects that remained from the first mountain. Also, the selves or psychological defects that are in the Dantesque circles submerged in planet Earth. And also, he will have to eliminate the cause selves or heads of legions, which are the roots of the ego. Here, harsh karma must be paid also. It is a process that is called the 8 years of Job. He will have to die within himself and achieve the resurrection. When all of this is done and this second mountain is completed, this master has already 99% of his consciousness free and awakened. One could never be devoured by the serpent if one had not first dissolved the animal ego. He who dissolves the ego is swallowed by the serpent, and he who is swallowed by the serpent becomes a serpent and will acquire all its powers. Well, the symbol of the eagle swallowing the serpent represents the three works of Christ on the third mountain. Well, the first step at the end of the second mountain, after the death of the cause eyes, this master will transform into an Elohim with two integrated polarities, which are the male and the female. Here he must recover the remaining 1% of consciousness and begin to create the bodies of light. The fire serpent, the Christ, must unite with the Holy Spirit, thus becoming an Elohim. This means that the master will not practice suprasets with a physical partner, but rather with his divine soul and create the bodies of the light while merging these two forces. This is the beginning of the third mountain. In the second step, he will have to gather the snake to form the O of the spirit, God the mother, or the snake swallowing itself or swallowing its tail. And to do so, Christ must defeat the dragon, Lucifer, in all his temptations and merge with him. Since Christ has already eliminated the causal eyes, the causal defects, Lucifer has no longer, anyone to tempt. So he's going to be free. And his freedom is fair after his hard work as our psychological trainer. At the moment these three forces merge into one, Mother God, the serpent biting its own tail, symbolized by the letter O, which also represents a female Johnny. These three forces, as I said before, are three aspects of the mother, three aspects of fire and love. Well, excuse me, I was checking if we are online. Let me see. Yes, we are. Well, on the third mountain, these three forces die, which is why it is said that God himself must die because, this is a God capable of creating through the word, and yet he must undergo this mystical death. Because death is a transformation, is the unification of these three forces into one. We are talking about the Christ, the Holy Spirit, and the Lucifer. After that process, that unification, mystical death or elimination of mechanicalness, then the Father, who is symbolized by the eagle, can come down and swallow the serpent. So the wisdom is integrated into love. The I, which is the Father and represents the male phallus, penetrates the O, which is the mother. This is the symbol of the Aztecs, which we even see as the coat of arms of the Mexican flag. That's because many of these ancient cultures possess this knowledge, and that's why they left these symbols, of which the true meaning has been lost. When the eagle swallows the serpent, we move from duality to unity, because let us remember that we left the absolute as unity and must return to the absolute as unity, not as trinity or duality, but as unity. And this is only achieved when the father and mother merge. The eagle represents the spirit, and the serpent represents fire. When the eagle swallows the serpent, we become feathered serpents, a Quetzalcoatl, and the work is accomplished. At that moment, self-realization is achieved, and we become absolute men, with complete freedom to move between the multiple universes. And well, this is today's conference.